Hi, Matt Buyer Organizing with organizing your basement storage. The top 3 living spaces that our clients require help with are the kitchen, the home office, and the bedroom. But organizing the basement storage space first makes organizing those 3 spaces significantly easier. Here are 5 tips on how to effectively organize storage in your basement. Number 1, declutter the basement second. Why second? Because as important as the basement is to declutter, the garage takes top priority. When you have clear space in the garage, then you have room to drain the discards and donates from the rest of the house, starting with the basement. Check out my downsizing through the garage video to learn more about this, including why the basement becomes the ideal sell zone. Number 2, keep the stockroom findable too. In my Organizing to Unpack video, I talked about the importance of the showroom versus stockroom concept in rethinking the contents of your new home. Here's a quick review. The idea is, in a showroom space, it is open, well lit, inviting, and there is a limited amount of inventory, mostly positioned from eye level down, and a lot of activity. Whereas in the stockroom space, it's a different story. You worry less about what it looks like, and you can take more advantage of vertical space so you can fit more in, but there is less activity. One critical detail is that even though a stockroom space is more remote, it should never be a place to hide things. If you're hiding things from yourself, it's a really good time to ask yourself why you're keeping them. Instead, stockroom spaces like the basement should contain items that you can find in less than a minute. Why? When you trust that you can find items reliably in your basement, you'll be inclined to keep more here, away from your showroom spaces. With less in your showroom spaces, your odds of maintaining a well-organized kitchen, home office, and bedroom increase dramatically. Number 4, set limitations with a dedicated zone. A dedicated zone is an area with a single category. Some examples of dedicated zones in the basement are backup supplies and food, kitchen runoff, entertainment supplies, keepsakes, holiday items, seasonal clothes, and archives. A dedicated zone is essentially a limitation. You arrive at the appropriate quantity for each category at the end of a decluttering. For the best results from a decluttering, think of it less as a purge and more as a process of prioritization. More on that in a future video. Within each dedicated zone, I recommend leaving a little bit of room for growth. But then once you exceed that limitation, it's time to rethink your contents. Why? Because otherwise the overflowing dedicated zone will run into another dedicated zone, and before long you'll be right back to where you started, disorganized. Number 4, prioritize accessibility. Where you locate your dedicated zones matters. Things you might access daily should be closest to the stairs, while things you won't access until you move should be located most remotely, perhaps in a crawl space if you have one. Here is a list in order of how I would prioritize the location of some typical categories we find in a basement. And number 5, include a table. This one often surprises clients, but it has to do with a system to stay organized. Again, a basement is a stockroom space where you want to take advantage of vertical space, and that means bins. Lots of bins. To access these bins, they need to come off the shelves, get opened, and get processed. A table makes this significantly easier. There must be a family rule that says nothing stays on the table. Otherwise, it quickly becomes useless. So be sure to create easy homes for items that tend to take up residence on the table. A final note on the table. You might think it's a waste of floor space to place a table on it, but it actually discourages piling things on the floor. And it reinforces that this is a shelving space. Things go up. We focused on basement storage this week, so next week we'll focus on basement space. For more easy organizing tips, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you around.